Welcome back to my next playthrough series. This time it's going to be Terminator Genisys Rise of the Resistance Mission 1. Yes, I actually managed to get this game and its expansion, which is not easy to get. I did manage to get them both. So we're going to be doing Mission 1. And there's quite a bit to go over as far as what you have to do. This is the setup. I'm going to show you the mission in the mission guide, which has the 7 missions. It's a campaign, which is really cool. You have a weapons deck and equipment deck. We're using level 1. We'll see all that. I'm going to be using 3 characters. There's 4 that come in the base game, 5 that come in the expansion. I'm not using any expansion characters, but I am going to be using the Guardian, which is a Terminator. We're going to be using Kyle Reese. He's considered an assault leader, and Alex the hacker. Now, I've put color bases on our characters. You're not supposed to, but this, because the enemies activate on your turn. Your enemies activate on your turn, kind of like the D&D adventure game. So there's that. So we basically have the Terminator here, Guardian, in red. We have Kyle Reese in yellow, and we have Alex here in blue. So there's a conga line of enemies. So as you kill enemies, they go to the back of the line, keep respawning. I'll show you that here in a second. All right, we're going to take a look at the first mission. I'm not going to really go over the rules. We're going to look at the enemies. We have 2 types of enemies in this mission. We have the HK-8 drone, and we have the T-800 endos skeletons. And lots going on, but we're going to see how it works as we play. We have these yellow locations on the board. They are obstacle locations. They have a defense value. So if you are on top of them, you get shot at. The obstacle takes damage before you do. Alright, let's take a quick look at all 3 of our characters, and then we're going to get into the mission. And I'm not 100% sure just how great this is focusing, but we have our red character, and everyone starts with 1 rank token. You can use your rank token to reroll an attack roll, or your dice. It's a dice placement game too, so you're going to be rolling 4 dice, and you have slots to use. You have 2 move slots, a rest slot, and an interact slot. You can take 3 wounds. If you take a 4th, you're down. You're not killed, you're down. It tells you what your starting equipment is. Our Guardian starts with a plasma shotgun. It has 1 die allocation spot. If you put a 6 in there, you can ignore 1 Terminator result on your attack dice. It'll all make sense, trust me. And he has high explosive rounds. If we burn that before he takes his turn, he gets to add 1 hit to his attacks. He's got 3 special abilities. He has a special attack. If he's adjacent to 1 or 2 enemies, he can attack them by rolling 3 dice. He has an extra rest spot. Resting means healing a wound or reviving a downed character on your team. And he has a defensive ability. So when he's being shot at by T-800s or the HK-8s, if he rolls a fist symbol on the attack die, he gets to discard 1 of the Terminator symbols. And yes, I sleeved the cards, so there might be a little bit of glare on there. So our Guardian Terminator T-800 is going to be red. Let's take a look now at Kyle Reese. Alright, so take a look at Kyle Reese. He will be in yellow. He, of course, has 1 rank token. We all start with 1. The little grenade tokens are just color-coded to them. He starts off with, and everyone has 2 move spots, a rest spot, an interact spot. They're all the same on every character. Oh, and these ready tokens, once you've taken your turn, because you can take your turns in any order. When you're finished doing all of your turns, you flip that over so you can keep track of who's going when. Alright, so his special abilities are... He has an extra attack spot. So as you can see, his plasma assault rifle, which is his starting weapon, it rolls 3 attack dice, has a range of 6. Should have said the Terminator's plasma shotgun has 4 dice, range of 4. It has 2 weapon dice allocation slots, so you can attack twice with it. And if you roll a 5 or 6, you can re-roll 1 result. So that's kind of cool. So it depends which dice you allocate in there, but you can allocate any number of dice in there, it doesn't matter. Alright, he has an infinite ability. You do not pay additional movement to move through obstacles. So to move onto any of the yellow obstacle spaces on the board, it costs you 2 movement instead of 1. Well, he can just ignore it. And he has an attack ability. When he's attacking, if he gets the fist icon on the attack die, then he gets to add 1 hit. Alright, so he starts with a plasma assault rifle, like I've already mentioned how this operates. He also starts with a plasma canister. It says, on your turn, discard this to remove all action dice from one weapon and re-roll them. You may then use those dice again. So if he puts 2 action dice on this weapon and then uses his plasma canister, he can take the 2 dice off, re-roll them, and use them for anything else on his turn. Alright, up last, let's take a look at Alex. And I do apologize for glare, but I really, after getting this game, I really did want to sleeve all the cards. And I used Dragon Shield cards on this one, a little bit better than the penny sleeves I normally use. So, again, apologize for the glare, but we'll take closer looks if we need to on some of these. Alright, Alex is going to be blue. Again, he's got his ready token, and he has 1 rank token as well. As you go through the campaign, you're going to gain more rank tokens. You get class cards as well, but we don't start with any of them here. We're going to take a look at the mission. I'll explain it. So 2 moves, rest, interact. He's got his 3 abilities. He has an interact special. So when using the interact action space, if you interact with crates, supply crates, or you interact with a door, which we have one on the board, he can just set that to any die face he wants. So if he rolls a 1, he can put it on there, and you need a 4, 5, 6 basically, so you can just set it to a 6. So that's his little special ability. He also has this die must match an enemy entrance. Our enemy entrances on the board right now are 1, 3, and 5. So when we spawn enemies, if we roll a 1, 3, 5, we roll our 2 dice for spawning enemies. We will spawn at those locations. So if he rolls, say, a 1, he could put a 1 there. And if somebody rolled, say, 2 5s, and they were close to the 5 spawn point, they could use this to change the 1, 5 to a 1, if that makes sense. And he's got a blue defense ability. It says, when defending, re-roll all of your Terminator symbol dice. So if he gets the fist icon, you need the fist icon to activate these things. And these can be activated any number of times, so you'll see that in action. His basic starting is a plasma rifle. It has an attack dice of 3. It's not very showing up very good because of the glare. Range of 8, 2 attack slots. And if he uses a 6 on either one of these, you may re-roll 1 dice. You can put 2 6s on there and get to re-roll a die. And he has an EMP grenade, and what that means is you roll a die, you can put a number on there. So if he puts a 6 on there, he can place the EMP grenade 6 spaces away from his current location, and then he'll roll that die, so he rolls it, say he gets 5. You can then stun up to 5 of those enemies, if you roll the 5, of course, in that zone. Now there are hexes and there are zones. Zones are divided by blue lines. Hexes are just, well, the hexes on the board. And I'll just take a quick look at the board a little bit, explain some things, and then we'll get to the mission. Alright, so just kind of zooming on a random spot on the board here. So as you can see, these yellow hex locations, that's obstacles. So if you're here, it would take 2 movement to move on there, and of course that's the shield value. The ones with the little hand icon in the red, these are interactable. They are considered supply crates. And here's the card for the supply crate. So if you want to interact with a supply crate, you have to use a 4, 5, or 6, and then you remove it from the board, draw 2 equipment cards, and immediately give them to any characters in your zone, including yourself. And I should mention, if you looked on the character cards, you can only carry either 2 weapons, 1 equipment, or 1 weapon, 2 equipment. And if you have any more than that, you have to discard, and the discard just goes away. So if you interact with a supply crate, it's actually a good idea to have 1 or 2 of your characters in the same zone so you can share all of the items you find. So that's how supply crate works. And then we have a blast door. We have 1 on the board. It's up here. And basically on the blast doors, you need an interact of a 6 while adjacent to it to open it. And that's why we're taking Alex on the mission, because he's got that special ability. He can set his interact die to anything he wants. We also have a passenger truck. We have to get back to the truck. Here it is. It doesn't really have too much to do in the first mission, except that's the end of the mission. You have to get to it. But if you can get into the truck for the end of the mission, you can shoot out of the truck. So there's that. That's pretty cool. And then we have a card that just basically explains an entire turn of the game. So, you have a decision phase. You decide who's going to go in what order. So you can decide who goes in what order. That's cool. Player phase, you're going to roll 4 action dice, and then 1 at a time, you're going to place your dice and do those actions that you want to do. Then we have an enemy phase. You're going to roll for reinforcements. And then the enemies are going to move, the enemies will attack, and then to activate bosses, there's no bosses in this scenario, and recover stunned enemies. So if you use like the EMP grenade, stun a bunch of enemies, they will recover, but only the colored enemies that you are controlling will recover. So they recover on their turn, they don't just all recover. And then you have end of round, there's no end of round in this scenario. Down characters can still use one die results of 1, but that's it. They can move 1, they can use a 1 for attacking. They can't use anything else. If they roll anything other than 1s and they're down, they're not doing anything. And then we have the actions. So basically move tells you how this works, equal to the number of die. A red cannot enter. Yes, the red is blocks line of sight, and you can't pass through walls or enter into any spaces with red on them. And I should say for line of sight, obstacles do not block line of sight, and characters and enemies do not block line of sight. Just the red walls, and that's for purposes of shooting. Then you have your attack die, basically tells you how that works. You have an interact, which I mentioned, rest, and you have specials, which we went through each of the characters. So that's kind of a little cheat sheet that you get, which is really handy, and the game is not super complicated. Am I going to mess up some rules? I hope not, but you never know. All right, oh my goodness, let's get to the mission. Let's have a look at it, see what we're supposed to be doing, and what's going on, and then we're going to get into some gameplay. And yes, you can hear the music in the background, but I can't play it because of copyright issues. All right, so here we go. It's Mission 01, Gathering Supplies. I am not going to read through all of this. Again, it's going to take a long time. And it basically tells you if you're playing like Forkman, have the player who's playing Alex read this. So this is the gist of it. This is all the text. If you want to pause and read it, go right ahead. And then you got a really nice little image down here of the facility we're heading into. The map setup here tells you, I've kind of shown you everything. So we have spawn point here, a spawn point here, and a spawn point here. So if you roll a 1, a 3, or a 5, we're going to have enemies coming out. The enemies have a conga line, which we'll talk about here in a second. So the mission setup, locate and pick up 3 supplies, waypoint tokens. Ah yes, I should mention. We have waypoint tokens on the board as per the setup. There's 5 of them, alpha through echo, and so A, B, C, D, E. They're randomly placed. I don't know which is what. So we need to find 3 of these are supplies, 2 of them are something else. There's text in the book when you uncover a waypoint token. The second you move into a zone with a waypoint token, you interrupt your movement. It's the only time you can interrupt your movement. And then carry on afterwards. You reveal the waypoint token and take a look at the text in the book. Alright, so we have to pick up all 3 waypoint token supplies, and how you do that is you have to get adjacent to the waypoint token, which is a supply, if it happens to be one, and then use an interactive 4, 5, 6 to actually pick it up. And then afterwards, all characters have to get into the truck, and then you will win. And at the end of the campaign, if you do that and manage to survive, all characters keep their weapons and equipment, and you gain a character class. Alright, the waypoints are Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo. Shuffle these tokens face down, waypoint each icon. And the cards used, equipment deck, we get level 1 cards, weapon deck level 1, and you'd already looked at the supply, the reference cards. And so yes, I have the expansion as well, so I've mixed in all the level 1s equipments and all level 1s weapons from both games. Cool. So here's how the conga line works. So we are playing with red, blue, and yellow. So at the red, the first, it's going to spawn 2 T800s and then the HK8s, then another. So this is how the spawning works. So if this gets on the board and you kill it, it bounces to the back of the line, and it just keeps cycling over and over. Of course, you can never then have more than 6 enemies of your color type on the board, because if you go to spawn a 7th, well, there isn't any. So that's how that works. And so it says here, each character begins a mission with 1 rank token. I've already explained that. The rank tokens can be used to re-roll your action dice, and any number of them. So if you rolled like 2 6s and 2 1s and you want to re-roll the 2 1s, you can go ahead and do that. You don't have to re-roll all of them. You can choose which ones to re-roll. Same as when you're attacking with a weapon. So if you're attacking with a weapon, you want to use your command token, then you can, your rank token, you can go ahead and re-roll. You cannot re-roll an enemy's attack dice. If an enemy is attacking you, that's too bad. You got to suck it up and take whatever happens. But we do have fist abilities for defense, so there's that. All characters begin with only their starting cards, which you just saw, and no class cards are used. And that is how it all is set up and ready to go. So, enough talking. Let's get into a little bit of action. I think I'm going to do one turn for each character. You're going to see how it works. So I think we're going to start off with our Terminator. He's in the front, the T800 in red. So let's get to the dice tray. We're going to roll up his 4 dice, and then we're going to start allocating those dice to actions. So yeah, I'm going to use my dice tower to make sure these get nice and randomized. And his roll, he gets, he gets a 6, a 3, a 2, and a 1. So yeah, he could spend his rank token to re-roll them. We're early in the game, we're not going to bother. So that's what he rolls, that's what he can place onto his player board. So let's figure out what we want to do with these dice. Alright, I think we want to start heading up to these 2 waypoints. I don't know if we want to go this way and then open the door that way. We've got 2 waypoints up here, 2 here, and 1 way over in the corner there. I think we're going to make a beeline up here. So we are going to use his 6 for a move action. So he gets to move 6 spaces, and he's starting here. Oh, I should say the starting zone is behind this blue line. This is your starting zone, not the tile. All right, 6 spaces. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 into here. And then we will use 3 for some more movement. Why not? And he's just going to go 1, 2, 3. Now he is in cover, so if he gets attacked by anything, which is unlikely right now, the cover is going to take damage first. It always takes damage first. This can take 2 hits, and then it's destroyed and removed from the board. So it's better than our Terminator taking damage, although he does have 2 rest spots. Now he has a 2 and a 1 left, but you know what? He can rest or interact. He's got nothing to attack. So he really is not even going to use the dice. There's really no point. So now it is the spawn time. It's spawn time for him. So he's going to roll 2 dice. And we're going to see what enemies he spawns on the board. If he spawns any at all. If we roll odd numbers, we're going to spawn. If we roll 2 4s or 6s, we won't. And these are not the dice that come with the game. I just like these big chunky ones. You get these little ones for spawning, but I like these big red with the white pips. All right, and we get a 2 and a 4. All right, we have no spawn points on even numbers right now. So 2 and 4, nothing spawns. It's quiet. We've snuck into the base. All right, up next we can either have Kyle Reskull or Alex, our hacker. All right, we have, I think we're going to have, who are we going to have? I think we're going to have Alex in the blue here go next. He has that really nice interactability. We're going to try and get him over to this crate, because if he can get to this crate and interact with it, then our Terminator and Alex will be in the same zone, because zones are this whole blue area here. So this is one blue area zone, this is another one. Then we can draw 2 cards, and the Terminator and Alex can share them. So let's see what we get for his dice roll. He's going to be rolling, of course, his blue dice. Let's get to the dice tray and roll them up. All right, let's see what Alex gets for his dice. And he gets a 6, 3, 3, and a 2. So let's figure out what he wants to do with them. And I should also mention, you cannot interact with a crate if you're on top of it. So if you use it as cover, you can't interact with it. You have to be adjacent to it. Just wanted to clarify that too. All right, the first thing he's going to do, he's going to allocate his 6 to movement. Yes, indeed. He'll go ahead and do that. Oh, I forgot to do the done. So we're going to do 6 for movement for Alex. So he's going to go, and this is a half hex. You have to be full hex for movement. You can't move through sort of half hexes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then he will use a 3, which means he's going to be able to get adjacent to this. So he's going to go 1, 2, and he's going to stop his movement there. Yeah, he's going to stop his movement there. And now he's got his special ability, which is this action space requires... Oh, sorry. When using this interact action space, you may change this die to any face. So, as we know with supply crates, let's have a quick look at them once again. With a supply crate, you have to interact with it with a 4, 5, or 6. Well, as you can see, Alex only has a 3 and a 2 left. But he can change any one of his dice and interact to any face he wants. So I would just change it to a 6. He's now going to interact with this crate. The crate is removed from the board. It's no longer good for cover or anything else. It's gone. we get to draw 2 equipment cards. And yes, it's a huge stack now with the expansion. I'm just going to do a little shuffling here in the back. And we're going to be pulling 2 equipment cards, and we're going to see what we get. And now because the Terminator's in our same zone, we're going to get to share. So we're basically going to get to keep both of these because the Terminator is in the zone, and so is Alex. All right, did I shuffle enough? I'll give it another. There we go. And the 2 cards we get, 2 equipment cards. Let's see what we get. We end up getting a grenade. These are pretty awesome. They work the same as EMP grenades, except you got to throw it on the same space as or adjacent to enemies. And it does 1 wound. Now the difference is there's hits and there's wounds. Our enemies in this game are destroyed with 1 wound, but you have to overcome their defense to give them a wound, and to overcome their defense they need a number of hits. So hits and wounds are different in this game. So the grenade itself just deals 1 wound, and it bypasses any sort of, there's no rolling dice, it just does a wound. So it would blow up an HK-8 drone or a T-800 if you use it. So we get 1 grenade and we get a weapon. Oh man. Search. So immediately discard this card to draw a weapon card. So we have a grenade in the crate, and we also get a weapon. So we're going to discard that. And we have a level 1 weapon deck. So I'll give that a shuffle too. And we're going to see. So these are upgraded weapons from our just standard run-of-the-mill weapons. So there's some pretty awesome ones in here. I think even at level 1. All right. And we find a net gun. This, I believe, is from the expansion. Yeah. Fall of Skynet. So the net gun, a range of 2 to 6. So anyone adjacent, you can't use it on. Special, roll 1 attack die. For each hit result, stun the enemy or target adjacent to the enemy, ignoring defense. So they don't get any defense. You just stun them. Yeah, cool. So, oh man, who do we want to give the stun gun to? I think, you know what, we're going to give the stun gun to Alex, because he's probably going to hang back a little bit. So you can have 2 weapons and an equipment, or 2 equipment and a weapon. And we'll give the grenade to our Terminator. So the Terminator's got high explosive rounds, a grenade, a plasma shotgun now. Alex now has a net gun, a plasma rifle, and EMP grenade. All right. He has a 3 left, and really not much else he can do with that. So we just won't do anything with it. All right, it's time now for him to roll up reinforcements if any enemies are going to show up on the board. All right, let's hope for even numbers again, and we get, oh no, we get a 1 and a 3. And you do them in order of spawning. So for Alex, the first 2 in his conga line, so we're going to get, he has a T-800 at the front of his line, and then he has an HK-8 at the back of his line. So in spawn zone 1, we're going to get his first T-800 on the board. Let's do it. So a long way away on the board, so you put them on the half hex. They're basically back here, but they start at the half hex. So we have a T-800 on the board, our first enemy, and then we have another spawn point. So he rolled a 3. So we're going to be putting his next in his conga line is going to be an HK Hunter Killer. It shows up in zone or spawn zone 3. All right, so the Hunter Killer shows up here in spawn zone 3, and they spawn closest to either of those is going to be fine. All right, so what do? We can check the little turn sequence card here just to make sure everything's going on. So we roll for enemy reinforcements. So we roll for reinforcements. They're on the board. Enemies move, and then enemies attack if they can. So both those enemies are going to move. If we take a look at the T-800s, they have a movement of 4. They have a range of 6. Ooh. And our HK-8s have a move of 8, but only a range of, range of 2. All right, let's get the T-800 moving first. And I should say, you can move them in any order you like. You don't have to follow the spawn order. So this T-800, this door right now that we can open is completely sealed. They're not going to open the door. They're going to come around this way to try to get to us. So it gets a movement of 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you check line of sight and range. Well, our closest character is our Terminator here, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 away, and there's a wall here. There's no way it's going to do anything. All right, let's see if the Hunter Killer can get closer. It can move 8, so it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It has a nice clear line of sight to our Terminator, However, it has a range of 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Our Terminator's 4 away. It's not going to fire. And that is going to be the end of Alex's turn. Up last, we have Kyle Reese. So let's roll his dice and figure out what he wants to do. Alright, Kyle Reese is in yellow. We'll be rolling yellow dice for him, and he gets... Oh, wow. Nice roll. Alright, he's got 2 6s, a 5, and a 3. Let's figure out what he wants to do with those. Alright, what I think we're going to do with Kyle, we're going to use a 6 for movement. That's the first thing he's going to do. He's going to boogie as fast as he can. And keeping in mind, when he moves, he can move onto obstacles at no extra movement cost. So he can move onto an obstacle for 1 movement instead of for 2 for everyone else. All right, for 6, he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to here. Did I get that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. And then he will use the 3 for some more movement. You have 2 move slots, so for 3, he's just going to go 1, 2, 3. Actually... no, he's not going to use the 3. You know what? He's going to use the 4 for his second move. Because he's going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. He might as well make use of this cover. And then he's going to use a 5 for interact. And you can interact with crates, as we saw, by using a 4, 5, or 6. So Kyle is interacting with this crate. So the crate goes away. He's adjacent to it, even though he's on cover. That's fine. It goes away. I don't know if he's going to use his 3. I doubt it. And he gets to grab 2 cards. I'll give this another shuffle just to randomize everything here. It doesn't really matter. They're all random anyway. He gets to pull 2, and we're going to see what he's going to keep. 1, 2. Right now he's got a weapon and an equipment. So what does he get? He gets either a grenade or radio. Equipment tech. The other character anywhere immediately takes the die and assigns it to perform an action. This die must be assigned to an available action space. Oh, so you can put one on here and someone else can use it anywhere. Or a grenade. I like grenades. Well, the radio's cool though. I think Kyle's the big killer for us. We're gonna discard the grenade. We're gonna keep the grenade and discard the radio. Alright, it is time now to roll up for some spawning. I don't think for the 3 he's going to do anything else right now. And I checked, and definitely Kyle Reese has no range. He has no line of sight at all to the Hunter Killer or the Terminator. He has line of sight to the Terminator, but the Terminator is way more than his weapons range away. It's way more than 6, so he can't attack. Alright, so spawn time. A 1 and a 4. Okay, so the 4 does nothing because... we don't have a 4 spawn point on the board. We do have 1, though. And, of course, let's see, the first enemy that he has in his conga line is a Hunter-Killer. So that's going to spawn at location 8. Alright, it's going to spawn way up here at 8. And at 1, sorry, at 1, we get a Hunter-Killer. It can move 8 spaces, so let's get having that moving on the back camera. You're going to see where he's trying to get to. Okay, so a bit of a long shot, but we're going to have the Hunter Killer. Of course, the door is closed, so it's not going this way. It's going to be coming around this way, and it's likely heading right for Kyle Reese, who's in cover. So 8 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There it is, and it's not 2 away. It only has a range of 2. And that's it. So you know what? I'm going to back the camera out, and we're going to wrap up our episode for today. So we come back tomorrow. We basically have kind of a refresh phase. Everyone takes all their dice off, and we decide once again who's going to go. So we're going to back out the camera and wrap it up for today. Alright, so as you can see, it's a pretty big board, and that's pretty cool. I like the little kind of skirmish game. I like everything pretty much about this game that I've seen from playthroughs and everything else. We are trying to get to these waypoints. We need the supplies. We have to, of course, keep the Terminators that are coming at us under control. We're going to see what we can do. So thanks so much for watching along. Thanks for your comments, subscriptions, likes. This is Terminator Genisys, Rise of the Resistance. We're playing Mission 1, which is gathering supplies, and then we have to get back to the truck once we find the supplies. So far, a bit of a quiet start. Got a couple hundred killers on the board. We got 1 T-800 Terminator. And yes, I put colored rings on our characters so we know whose enemies are activating. So next turn, if we go first, if our Terminator goes first, we have no red enemies, so no red enemies will activate, except the ones that spawn. You see how that works. So thanks so much, and we'll see you tomorrow. Continuation, Terminator Genisys, Rise of the Resistance. We're playing Mission 1, Gathering Supplies.